Hello there, this is Divine TV. My name is Kemi Iwalesin, your host on the amazing show, She World, where we discuss everything about the female gender, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the very beautiful. I have a guest today, a surprise guest actually. My guest today, I call her my superstar. I would like her to introduce herself.
My darling Auntie Kemi, thank you very much. My name is Toyin Alausa, and of course I'm an actor. Okay. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Today I want us to discuss something that is very peculiar, and it is about discipline. When has it become abuse? When is discipline abuse? One thing we went through in our generation, I will say it with full chest, like they say, was abuse. A lot of our generation are living with trauma. A lot of us are damaged. We were trained not to think. We were trained to follow instructions. So if you blame us for not being productive as much as we should, it came from that thing. Our parents thought they were disciplining us. Meanwhile, they were abusing us. I'm not blaming them because that was all they knew. That was all they knew how to bring up children. But today we are going to discuss it. Children need discipline. That is the truth. But when is discipline an abuse? Toyin, I'm going to ask you, let me ask first, what is discipline? What is it to discipline a child?
In the best of my knowledge, I think, or I have come to understand that discipline means trying to train a child in a corrective measure with love and understanding.
Discipline is to teach. This is the right way to do something. Mm-hmm. This is how to do it. That is discipline. What is abuse?
Abuse also, to the best of my understanding, is when you inflict pain, either verbally, psychologically, emotionally, on a child in the process or with the intention of training the child or teaching the child, like you just said.
I like the word inflicting pain. When it brings pain, it is no longer discipline. It has become punishment. And punishment and discipline are not the same thing. They are two different things, and we are going to discuss it as we go on. Let me start on the abuse. What are the types of abuse that we have?
There are various types of abuse. We have the emotional abuse, where parents tend to attack the feelings of a child. They don't understand, either like a teenage, a toddler, a youth, be it even an adult that still has parents or still lives under the care and watch of the parents. You can be abused emotionally. You can be abused physically, which is the beatings, the slaps, and what have you. You can be abused by words and utterances, which I think falls under the emotional abuse. There's so many forms of abuse. There's some abuse that attack your person. You lose your self-worth. You lose confidence in yourself. I think those are psychological abuse. You begin to, the child tends to be withdrawn, lacks fun, lacks joy, lacks happiness. So there are various forms of abuse. I'll start with emotional abuse.
Okay.
What I see is that in this part of the world, in Africa, I think our parents are not so, maybe it stems from our forefathers. I don't know how it was in the 60s and have you. But if I want to judge from myself, when I was growing up, I was attacked emotionally, psychologically, physically, emotionally, and just name all the forms, all the leaves. In fact, sexually also. You understand? I was abused. And what I realized is that in Africa, parents don't really understand what it means to discipline a child. Which is why I like the way you put it, that to teach or to train is different from giving orders, from instructing. You must not. I command you not to. If I'm your father or if I'm your mother, you must not. But in the westernized world, you hear things like, oh, if you don't do this, then this is not going to happen. But if you do this, this is what is going to happen. Now they are teaching you. They are giving you the reasons why they think you should not do this. Okay, if you do this, I may have to ground you. I may have to collect your phone. I may have to, not give you your treats. They are not attacking you and telling you that, oh, I mean, I don't know if I can speak vernacular. They curse you because they want to correct you. They want to train you. They want to teach you. They are not disciplining you. They've left the motive of discipline. They've forgotten it.
They've turned it to abuse.
They turned it to abuse.
I believe that, like I said earlier on, that came from our upbringing. And I remember years ago, if a child comes to me and I say, do something, and he says, why? My answer, Kemi, I will tell you because I say so. What that means is the child is just going to do that thing without knowing why he or she is doing it. And unfortunately, that was why I was brought up. You don't even question. When we were younger, you don't even question why. You ask your parents why.
How?
That will give you some slaps. But the point is, lately I've learned about intentional parenting. And I realized parenting is a discipline every mother and father should have. You should know how to parent your child. You know what they do when they are 1, when they are 2, when they are older. You know how to discuss with them and explain things to them. And you know one thing I realize is because of the fear that we put in children's mind when we say we are disciplining them, a lot of children suffer sexual abuse and the parents never got to know because they are afraid to talk to their parents. When you discipline a child, the child comes to you because he's going to learn. When you abuse a child, the child goes away from you. Unfortunately, what the parents were trying to achieve is just one. But the way they are going about it is what is wrong. Let's talk about the types of discipline. We talked about the types of abuse. We'll elaborate more on them later. But what are the types of discipline that we have?
There are proactive discipline.
Okay, before we go on to that, we'll be on a short break. And after the break, I'm going to ask our guests the types of discipline that we have. Don't go away. Stay with me.
Enjoy inspirational, informative, and soul-lifting Christian programs such as Christian Parenting and Homefront, Light After Darkness, Fulfilling the Mandate, Kids and Bible, Movies Review, Shepherd's Spouse, Kingdom Stars, Teens Perspectives, My Next Gospel Event, and lots more on Divine Television. Download Divine TV mobile app on Google Play Store or watch on our YouTube channel. You can also visit www.tvdivine.net. Divine TV, enriching souls through the gospel of Christ.
You're welcome back. I'm going to ask my guests now, Toyin, what are the types of discipline that we have?
There are various types of discipline. There's the proactive discipline. You discipline a child with the intent that the child will grow to understand that this is a no barrier, this is a no-go area. And then there are some form of disciplines that you take that might not necessarily teach the child or correct the child like you want to. It will only further enhance or make the child more stubborn. You can discipline a child by talking to the child, advising the child, having a parent-child discussion. You can also discipline the child by withdrawing all the privileges that they have, depending on the age. Even for the very small ones, between the stages of 3, 5, and 7. Oh, if your child is that one that usually wants a treat for doing something right, you can take, for instance, a 6, 7-year-old that you would usually give a treat after he does his homework or after he does a chore for you or something. If he has done something wrong and you want to correct the child, you can say, oh, Tom or Jerry, you are not going to have this because you did this. I'm not going to give you this until you do this. So that whatever privilege you're withdrawing from the child, he doesn't start having resentment or dislike. Oh, suddenly mommy doesn't want to be nice to me anymore. Suddenly mommy doesn't love me anymore. But if the child knows that it is a form of discipline, you're trying to withdraw the privilege from the child so that he can correct he or herself to do what is right. They will do what is right. They will understand the punishment or the measures that you have taken to correct them, and they will not repeat it. You can also discipline a child. I mean, even the Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. Like we're saying, there has to be a limit from where you apply the rod, but at times you might need to spank a child, you understand, to make the child understand the effect of what they have done and how it might, pose as a problem for them in the bid to correct them.
We are back to how we were trained. Spare the rod. We use that a lot. But I'm going to just discuss some of the types of discipline before we go on. We have the natural consequences. If you don't read, you may not pass your exam. You let the child know that. You have to read. If you don't read, you may not pass your exam. That's a natural consequence.
True.
And it's a discipline. Another one is a logical consequence. If you write on the wall, I'm going to take your crayon. Those are for toddlers. An older one, I'm going to take your tablet. An older one, like you said, I'm going to withdraw some privileges. No TV for you today, and all that one. Those are logical consequences. Then positive consequences, you mentioned it, is when a child has done something and you say, this is very good. That is one thing most of our parents lacked.
Never did.
And most of us lacked. The only time we talk to a child is when the child has done something wrong. We don't remember to say anything when they've done something right. So the child always feels attacked. You don't get anything positive from your parents. So we have the positive consequences, commending the children when they've done something right. And the last one is what we call collaboration and proactive consequences. If a child is doing something, why is that child doing that thing? So you go together, both you and the child. You do it together. Check what the root cause is. When you find the root cause of the problem, then you solve it together. And a problem that you find together, both mother and child or father and child, and you try to solve it together, it's easy for the child not to repeat it again because he understood where the thing came from and why he was doing it. It may be a friend that he had gotten in school that is
Peer
making
pressure.
him or her to do that. When you're able to identify the root cause and say, you know, this person is a bad influence on you, what do you think should happen? Let the child profile the solution. So when that happens, or timeouts, those are things we can do under discipline. I'm going to let us deliberate more on abuse. Because when you move from the issue, you can imagine a child came back from school late. And you beat the child as if the child has stolen something. It can be transferred aggression. It can be something the father had done. It can be maybe a business problem that you have. Anything could have happened. And the child will just be wondering, I came home 5 minutes late. Mommy wanted to kill me. That's an abuse because it doesn't commensurate with what the child had done. And even if you don't beat the child, the talking alone, you cannot do well. You see your mates are under the bridge, you see your mates have turned to prostitute. You say all these things
Verbal abuse.
to this child, verbal abuse. And one thing is, words are spells. After a while, that child will move towards those things you are saying.
True.
Then you begin to think maybe somebody somewhere is influencing the child spiritually. No. The words we speak are spells and they can damage children. Another one I want to discuss is sexual abuse. You mentioned it earlier. A lot of women, when I was younger, when their child comes from school, I went to boarding school, they will open the girl's vagina to check if she was still a virgin. Some say they use egg, I never went through that. Bless my parents. But that was sexual abuse for a child that did not do anything. And unfortunately, this is still happening today. Some men will say they are doing it too. Eventually, they'll start having sex with the child because they are turned on by what they see. It comes from, let me see, are you still a virgin? To now beginning to have sex with the child. So sexual abuse actually happen in the home.
If I may come in, Mom.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Apart from the fact that it happens in the home, I think at times it's from neglect from the parents also.
Okay, yes, that's another form of abuse.
It's another form of abuse.
So I want us to discuss that type of abuse that is called neglect.
Permit me to use my life as a case study.
No problem.
My mom and my father, they got divorced, and my mom moved to the UK to stay. Prior to that time, it was just 3 of us in the house.
Okay.
It was me, my mom, and my dad. At holiday seasons, we'll probably go to my cousin's place for holidays, and they either come to my place for holidays. But at the point that both of them decided to get a divorce, and she left out of the country, and I was left with my dad, I experienced neglect. I experienced neglect because, I mean, a man is a man. He goes to work, he goes to his friend's place, he has 1 or 2 commitments out there he has to take care of. I'm all by myself. I don't have any guardians. I don't have... Well, they expect me to be old enough to take care of myself. But I was old enough to take care of myself, hygiene, feed myself. But I was not old enough to dissify the kind of friends I should move with, the places I should go, what I should see and what I should not see. So, out of that neglect, I became too free. And even when I was being abused underneath their roof, nobody knew. Okay, so when you neglect a child, you're not only punishing the child, you're opening the door for the enemy to come in and take advantage of the child. In some homes, they are so that the mother leaves home to the market, say by 6, the father leaves by 5. The mother comes, say by 9, the father comes, say by 10, 11. So all those hours from when they close at 4 or at 5, let's say they do lessons and they close at 5, and they come home between 5:30 and the 10 o'clock. Can you give a verified account of what that child has done. No, you can't. And you cannot even decide what he has seen, she has heard, what they have done. You know, you can't. You say you put parental control on the TV. What if they have the code? Or what if they go to a friend's house to watch what you don't want them to watch in your own house? At times, the children want to even talk to you. They want to communicate something to you. But because you are so engrossed in your own life, you're so engrossed with whatever it is you're passing through at that time, you're not listening to their hearts, to their actions, because actions too can be listened to. When they are doing some things, you are not taking cognizance of what they're doing. Say, this girl has started making friends, this girl now has a man, this girl has not a man. You know, these signs are there. If you cannot identify them, if you neglect them, it will blossom to a full problem that you will not have to battle with. But if you identify those signs, or if you listen when they want to talk to you, you can identify the mistakes, the problem, and then help them through it.
Wow.
Enjoy inspirational, informative, and soul-lifting Christian programs such as Christian Parenting and Homefront, Light After Darkness, Fulfilling the Mandate, Kids and Bible, Movies Review, Shepherd's Spouse, Kingdom Stars, Teens Perspectives, My Next Gospel Event, and lots more on Divine Television. Download Divine TV mobile app on Google Play Store or watch on our YouTube channel. You can also visit www.tvdivine.net. Divine TV, enriching souls through the gospel of Christ.
You're welcome back. It's still She World, where we discuss everything about the female gender. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the very beautiful. I'm going back to my guests. What could our parents have done better, or what can we do better to focus on discipline as against abuse?
Most times when I have such very touchy discussions or sentimental discussions, let me put it that way, I tend to look inward more than outward, in the sense that first I take a look at my own experience and how I was able to overcome the situation. So I experienced more of abuse than discipline. They thought they were disciplining me, but they were abusing me. So when I started to train my son like that, because that was the approach I knew. Mutibai, so I told you the first time you didn't answer, the second time is a slap. And if I feel my hand is occupied, if anything I'm holding, I use, you know, and I realized I was inflicting pain on my son. And I was not happy. You know, you get to that stage where you know you just hurt this child. Whatever this child did, you can't, you know, how do I put it? The measures you took are too extreme for what the child did, just like what you said. So I started feeling more pain hurting my child than disciplining my child. So I decided to apply the approach of conversation. I call him, I talk to him, I give him examples. I said, look at this person, look at that person, look at this situation, look at that situation. This is the result of this action, this is the result of this action. But if you do this, this is the result. I resorted to conversation. I eliminated striking, hitting, throwing objects. I eliminated all that. Then I included a bit of withdrawing privileges. I know he likes his time out. I know he likes his sleep out. I know he likes his freedom. I know he likes going to his soccers every Saturday morning. I know all those things. So I say, guy, no soccer. You're washing the bathroom. Guy, no friend is coming to play PlayStation, whatever. You have to do the dishes, you have to clean, you have to scrub, you have to do all these things. In fact, this ones, I'm training you to be a better person, because later in future, you own a place of your own and you would have to do these things. So while training the child, you learn to discuss with them, probably be their friend, not an authoritarian. You don't go saying, oh, because I'm your father, I'm your mother, then you must do this. No. Become like them. Talk to them like friends. Let them see reasons. Else, they'll run far from you, go to the wrong pair or go to the wrong camp, and they will teach them the direct opposite of what you're trying to teach them. So you can discipline a child, not abuse a child, by still communicating with the child. I did more of communication. I mean, bless you, ma'am. You were there, part of our lives, and you understand what I'm saying.
And it's turned out to be a very amazing young man I'm proud of. Yes.
You understand? So, but at the early stage, I had a friend that told me something that really changed my perspective. He did something wrong, and I was very livid, and I talked down, said a lot of terrible things I ought not to say. And my friend was in my house, so she said, Toyin, let's go out. I want to talk to you. I said, I even need to get out of this place before I kill somebody. He said, very good, let's go. So we went out. And the first thing she said to me immediately, we stepped out. She said, the same mistake your mother made with you, you're already making it with your son. And I was shocked. I said, what do you mean? He said, but everything you always complained about your mom, oh, she curses you, oh, she says this, oh, she hits you in the public, she was attacking your self-esteem, oh, she did this, you have started doing everything to him, and you're going to lose him the way she was about to lose you. And that was the turning point for me. He said, look at the problem, because after some years, because like I told you, I experienced abuse, it was not discipline. After some years, a kind of hatred steamed up between us. I couldn't stand her because I know everything I did around her was not good enough, and it's going to result to physical. She doesn't know how to correct by words. She doesn't know how to correct by advising you. She knows how to correct by stoning you with a pistol or a shoe or something. That's the only way she knew how to correct. So I started having, that kind of, oh, I don't want to stay around her. Oh, she's too violent. I don't like all that. And that was the exact thing I was doing to my own child. So when my friend told me, said, look, you are going to create a barrier between you and your son that you might not be able to recover from, because he is a man. That's the difference. You're a woman. He's a man. He will just go and he will never look back. So immediately she told me that, I just changed my perspective and changed my strategy of how to discipline him when he goes wrong. And I'm sure that it worked. Because even till this minute, he's a grown man now. He's a grown, fine young man now. But he still makes mistakes that he needs to be corrected. And instead of me to go blah, 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 I'll just type on the phone and send him a message, or do a voice note and send it to him. And then when he comes back with the explanation, I'm like, ooh, thank God I didn't go berserk on this guy. He has a point, but yet let him know that, okay, you should have done it this way, or you should have done it that way, just by conversing.
Thank you very much, Toyin.
Yes,
I really enjoyed this, and I enjoyed the result when you changed from abuse to discipline.
Thank you, ma'am.
One thing about discipline is that it is the training of the mind to do the right thing. It is training a child to go in the right way that would be good for him or her in the future. It is the training of the character of a child to become a better person in the future. And this has to be done with sound mind by the parents. It has to be done under a calm and controlled environment that shows you yourself, that is trying to discipline the child, you have mental self-control. Because like I normally say, monkey see, monkey do. No matter what you have done to a child, that is the only way he knows to discipline in the future, which will turn to abuse. So the cycle
Continues. True.
And abuse is maltreatment. It is punishment. It is putting fear in a child. When a child has pain and fear, the child is going to be withdrawn from you. It's not going to come to you.
True.
He will go to where they will teach him what you don't want him to be taught, like you said. I have a story that I want to say. A man was living in a house and was abusing young girls in the house until he got to one young girl. Immediately he tried everything. The girl said, I'm going to scream, I'm going to call my dad. And because the other girls were unable to say that, he was molesting them. And immediately she left the room. She went to tell her father, this man tried to do this to me. Wow. That was a child that was going through discipline and not abuse. The father was able to come. And he said it didn't take long for that man to move out of that house. When you abuse your child, you are sending the child out into the wild. When you discipline your child, you are bringing your child back to you so that you can mold the child in the way of the Lord. You are molding the child to be a child that will be proud of himself in the future, and you will be proud of him. And one other thing about abuse is you have gone way beyond boundaries of law and order. And that is why you see a father or a mother will beat a child to a level that the police will come and arrest you.
True. Because
you've gone beyond law and order. And I want to tell us, when you are disciplining in love. Abuse has nothing to do with love. Till next time I come to you, I remain Kemi Iwalesi. On this show called She World, where we discuss everything about the female gender, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the very beautiful. And this is on Divine TV. Follow us on all our social media platforms, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and download our app from the Google Play Store. Till we see next time on another exciting episode. Thank you and bye.